Males dominate the mafia stereotype. In the past, women were limited by organized crime hierarchy to the roles of wife, mother, or at worst, low-level criminal. However, this has been altering recently. These women, who have been included alongside the most famous mafia bosses, demonstrated that the criminal world is not based on looks, but rather on guts. They oversaw the most prominent criminal organizations and contributed significantly to several brutal and violent crimes. In this video, we will be talking about top 10 female gangsters. Let's get started. Number 10. Bonnie Parker. Parker, one half of the renowned criminal pair Bonnie and Clyde, is undoubtedly the most well-known of the female American gangsters. In the public enemy age of 1931 to 1934, when outlaws' exploits made them famous, the two were legendary bank robbers. In 1930, she first met Clyde Barrow. Even though she was married, they clicked right away. In addition to their murders and robberies, a photoshoot Bonnie and Clyde participated in near their hideout in Joplin, Missouri, resulted in images that continued to spur imaginative recreations of their lives. But in 1934, those identities were shortened in a bloody firefight with the police. He was 25, while she was 23. Number 9. Raffaella De Alterio. After the murder of her husband Nicola Pianese, the godmother Raffaella De Alterio, commonly known as the Big Kitten, assumed control of the Naples Camorra. She was detained in 2012 during one of the operations carried out by the Italian military, along with an additional 65 suspects. Cash worth more than $10 million was discovered. Some claim that her gang was accountable for more than 4,000 homicides in the previous 30 years. Extortion, money laundering, forgery, robbery, unlawful possessions of weapons, and drug trafficking were all on her resume. Number 8. OPAL MACK Long. Long, who is thought to have been born in Texas, was given the moniker Mack Truck due to her size. She was brought in as Russell Clark's wife, but belonged to John Dillinger's terror gang. Being by nature a caregiver, Long chose to go by Bernice Clark, joyfully scrubbed the hideout and prepared meals for the entire group, whom she rolled off as family. On January 25, 1934, her husband was detained in Tucson, Arizona, which damaged things. Later, she pleaded with Dillinger for money to pay for an appeal of Clark's case after attacking the officers who conducted the arrest. She was ultimately excluded from the organization due to her demands. She was detained that same summer as well. Number 7. Anna Gristina. When Anna Gristina was detained as the leader of a gang involved in human trafficking in September 2012, her name was all over the front pages of the major media. She attempted to downplay her guilt throughout the trial by arguing that she was merely in charge of the dating service and not a brothel, but she later testified during the guilty plea program. As a result, she received a 6-month prison term and a 5-year probationary period. In the end, she made more than $10 million. Number 6. Ma Barker. Female Gangsters, the Italian Mafia's first female member, was named Ma Barker. She was detained on July 4 and charged with murder, assault, and arson in August of the same year. She was nevertheless released a few years after, being found not guilty owing to a lack of proof. As a result, Ma Barker is now commonly recognized as an Italian mafia group. A judge dismissed Ma Barker's lawsuit against the mafia in 1927, but that didn't stop her from assisting other women in joining the gang. She instructed them in the use of guns, explained the organization's policies, and showed them how to engage in drug trafficking. Number 5. JEMEKER Thompson. JEMEKER Thompson, also known as Queen Pin, was raised in a very impoverished home, which drove her to do anything to avoid feeling needed. She started selling a ton of the crack along with her husband, Anthony Mosley. Soon, the two had acquired one of the biggest 1980s Los Angeles drug trafficking networks. JEMEKER's husband shot a few years ago, but she continued his business. The police received it from the new vendor. The woman then had to begin running. When she eventually returned to Los Angeles 5 years later, she was detained and given a 15-year sentence in a high-security facility. Number 4. THELMA WRIGHT. Thelma Wright's husband, Jackie Wright, significantly impacted Philadelphia's drug trade. He was shot in the head and his body was discovered on a carpet after his death in 1986. Following the assassination, Thelma took over the family company and rose to the position of cartel boss, transporting drugs from Los Angeles to Philadelphia. She was involved in a gunfight in 1991, which proved to be a defining moment for her and led her to decide to leave the drug trade. Number 3. EVELYN Billie Frechette. Frechette gained notoriety as John Dillinger's devoted girlfriend. Frechette met Dillinger and joined him on a cross-country criminal spree when her first husband was sentenced to prison for robbing a post office. The two escaped many gunfights. After being found guilty of harboring a fugitive, she was sentenced to 2 years in custody, during which time Dillinger passed away. Frechette turned her criminal background into a new career after being released in 1936 by embarking on a workshop format. 33 years later, cancer claimed her life. Number 2. ARLYNE BRICKMAN. BRICKMAN, born in 1933 to a Jewish family in East Harlem, grew up idolizing Virginia Hill's glitz and excitement. She was a numbers runner, drug user, and loan shark for the mob. However, she found it difficult to advance in the Sicilian-run crime organization because of her Jewish origins. Even so, she was satisfied with the money and authority she had. After a loan shark threatened to shoot her daughter in the future, BRICKMAN became an informant. Due to her espionage and testimony, Anthony Scarpati and many other colleagues were finally found guilty of racketeering. Number 1. Sandra Avila Beltran. On October 11, 1960, she was born. She was married twice. Both of her husbands were police officers who quit their jobs to go after the drug trade. The professional killer murdered both. Beltran was shrewd since she never left any signs of her involvement. The police only launched a separate inquiry in 2002 after her son was abducted with a $5 million ransom demand. She was accused of participating in organized violence and drug trafficking in 2007. She was cleared of several allegations during the investigation, but she is still accused of illegally obtaining firearms and money laundering. During the interrogation, she identified herself as a homemaker who sells clothing for a living. Sandra is still incarcerated today. It's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video interesting, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. And until then, stay tuned to Mafia Side.